Hey guys, um, this is the draft critique, class-wide draft critique video for a little bit, and there's a couple things I want to show. There's two or three I want to show you guys real quick, and there's a couple things I want to point out. So JR, here's his. It's a really fun campaign ad. I like how you kind of used the space here to divide it kind of in thirds, if that makes sense. So instead of cutting it right in half and having the ad and then having the section over here where the text goes, you kind of cut it in thirds. Looks really nice. Looks really good. I think this looks pretty good. I kind of wonder if I would move this down. If I would move it down so it, and have it right here, the logo. I just don't know if I think it might look a little bit nicer having them closer together, proximity wise, right? It kind of says, yeah, this is a closer look at the design for this company, right? So there's a couple things that I've noticed though so far too you want to be careful with, and that is the edge. So you see how you have your text right here up against the edge. You don't want it to be so close to the edge, because if you think about PowerPoint presentation, if somebody's showing it to a group of people, the projector is not always perfect, and it's kind of like even like with print, right? You don't want things right next to the edge. Try to keep it not too close to the edge, especially stuff like text and the logo. I understand, I think it's good to have this full bleed. I'm not saying that about this, but especially text, don't have it go right up to the edge. Make sure you have a little bit of space in it. Having the logo really close up there makes it feel a little bit cramped. And I noticed a lot of people had this problem. So you guys want to make sure you avoid that. I do like how you did really simple, nice lines like that. If you could get your text a little bit shorter, it might be good. Definitely try to avoid having widows, right, or orphans, so having one word on a line. So that's something to avoid. I do like your title slide. Like I said, I might try moving this around a little bit and see what it does. And with this, same thing. I would move your text over just a little bit so it's not right up against that edge, because that creates kind of tangents right there where it kind of touches the edge like that. I'm kind of just skimming through this because I'm not talking about this part as much. I might make this square a little bit bigger again so it's not like touching the edges of the text as much. Your new ad though looks really good, and I like a lot of things that you have going on. I like how it's different, but it still feels similar. Like how you have the coloring and stuff, kind of matching that idea, and some of the effects you got going on is really cool. So you definitely did a great job with that. The text is not bad. I like how you didn't center it, center line it. I think that was nice. So I think you're doing really good here. Be a little bit careful. Like, you have so much lines and stuff, it might be a little bit hard to see visually. So think about how well is this communicating. Should I maybe change one of these things just a little bit to make it easier to read, easier to understand? Maybe get rid of the box. Maybe you don't need the box right there. You know what I mean? So always be thinking about readability. And then right here, you don't need to say logo. I'm not sure. I saw a couple people put the logo at the very end or say logo. That was just the person who was designing the other one decided to put the logo at the end. What you want to think about and why you might want to have the logo at the end is when you do your presentations next week, you need to have a conclusion and an introduction. So it just gives you, the logo gives you a place where you can kind of come to the end and just share your concluding thoughts on the subject. I think, this isn't a bad introduction, though it might be good on the example. I think one of the things they did is they just talked a little bit about the company, the ad. Let me see. I think, where is it? No, sorry guys. My recording thing is right in the way. Hold on just a second. Okay, fixed it. Sorry. The recording options are right over this tab. So if you come look at this example here, so that's what I'm talking about. They just have the Levi there, which is cool. But you need to have an introduction slide, and that kind of introduces it. And so right here, they kind of have some text that's just introducing the concept. So if you come, you see how it's promoting denim optimism and a promise of the future. So they're kind of breaking down the general concept into a really brief statement, right, of what that ad is about. And if you come down here to the, where is it? Right here. So there's a one slide introducing company and campaign. So I'm just saying that it might be worthwhile, JR, to kind of think if you want to, I guess stay cool is that kind of what you were doing with that. So I would just think about that. Would it be worth maybe adding a little text? Not too much, but something to think about. Okay, but it's really good. Hopefully that gives you some good ideas of feedback you can do, and hopefully you all kind of can see what I'm saying here with the edge. You want to avoid that. Think about the sizes of your object. Like this right here is this big, but that's kind of the same size as this. And even this is only slightly bigger, so maybe vary up the contrast with the size. Keela has another really fun one. So you see she kind of did that at the beginning. I would wonder if maybe you should even cut it down even more. You want to really be careful with text. So one of the things that you do, and you're trying to mimic the look of this, which I think is really fun, but I wouldn't have it right up against the edge. And the reason is because the N looks okay, but as we go down, S doesn't look quite as nice, Y doesn't look as nice, D doesn't look as nice. So it doesn't look as good with the other ones as N does, because N is like a straight line. So I would probably just move it over a little bit and have a little white space there, but still keep the thicker amount of space right there. I think that looks good and kind of mimics the other ones. So I really like that. One thing I'm wondering is maybe make this just a little thinner so we can see the design underneath a little bit better. I like how you kept it really simple and basic, because that's the idea, right? When you're giving a presentation, and if you watch things like TED Talks, they do this a lot. They don't put tons of text on the screen. This isn't like the one in my Sunday school I just attended, like a church where, you put a quote up on the board. You're not doing that per se here. You're putting very little text because when you do your presentation next week, you're going to talk about it. Color, again, same kind of thing. I really like it. I would maybe just make this a little thinner so it's easier to see this stuff underneath. But the idea is really good. Then your new ad, which is really good. This is really matching a lot of things with this previous one. So I really like that. And I think it's interesting how you showed the new ad first. I think that's not a bad idea. And then right here, colors, concept stuff, not bad. I definitely think that's a really simple way to kind of talk about it, which isn't bad. And design-wise, it looks good. Again, maybe a little bit thinner. And then when you do your presentation, you'll actually explain a little bit about what you mean here. This is the thing, again, I don't know, it must be just because it says you have to have the logo. That's just meaning the logo here on the ad is what it's talking about. But if you want to have a logo at the bottom, the end again for your conclusion, I think that's fine. I wouldn't have this slide. I would just have your logo, okay? And then was there one more I was going to show? Oh, yeah. I can't remember who did this one. Sorry, it doesn't have the name. Dang it. Oh, now this is using the InDesign thing. Okay, hopefully. Oh boy. Sorry, guys. Let's zoom out here. Okay, so this one right here is a really fun ad. One thing I would do is I really like the ad. I like this. I think it looks fun how you have the boxes and stuff going around. Again, it's a little bit thick, the line, so it kind of hides the stuff. It's not too bad, but it is a little thick. Looks really good. I like all of that. And the new ad, really fun. Really, it does a good job matching. Again, I would consider adding a conclusion slide. The other thing, though, too, is think about the fact that this is on a projector. You don't want to do body copy like this so much. I don't know if I would also have, so you want to change this to either, probably a sans serif font would be good because this is digital, right? People are looking at this digitally, so serifs will disappear. So you might want to kind of switch that out. So a sans serif font would probably be a smart idea. And it might be more interesting if you actually do some, I understand. I think what you're doing is you're trying to put a bunch of type here. I would simplify that down. Don't have it be a bunch of sentences, right? Be really simple with the stuff you have here, because the idea is you don't need to explain everything here. You will explain it as you talk. You want it to look good, communicate ideas, and just talk about it that way. The other thing is I would get rid of this box. I don't think you need it. And I don't think it really even matches. Yeah, like there's not like outlines on here. So I would get rid of that and just have your box if you're going to do that. And then I would maybe just play with the text, because I probably wouldn't have it. If all of them were going to have a letter where a little piece of it went over the line, I think that'd look good. But if they don't, I wouldn't have any of them do that. Again, going back, don't have stuff too close to the edges, right there. And I would change that again to a different, to a sans serif font, right? And make these boxes a little bit bigger so they fit a little bit easier, because you have lots of room. I might even make the ad slightly larger if you can, just to use up that space better. And again, with this page, I would also recommend putting in a little bit of information, like what's the concept of it. Like the other one does, like what's it about, right? The other one said denim freedom, I think, or something like that, right? So write just like a short thing explaining like what is the concept here, and maybe even make the ad a little bigger if you want. Also, you kind of mimic the colors here. So if you think about repetition, I would do something different with these then. so that it matches this slide better. And then when I come to this slide, something that will help this slide match better. So you kind of just have totally different colors for the different things. So I would be repeating colors a little bit. So guys, let me come over here for. Hopefully that gives you guys all of you a little bit of ideas of some things I'm looking for and some good examples. One of the things here, and there's a bunch of other good ones. There are a couple of examples I noticed that it looked like they hadn't quite finished yet, or would put them on because they're really good, but they didn't have any of the text written in talking about it. Just come back here. I think most of you have really good ads you had been designing that probably only needed some minor tweaks. They were looking really good. I think most of you, the area that people were struggling with the most was the slide design itself. So make sure you're reviewing this again. You want to have a couple slides that talk about, like at least one slide talking about design, color, and typography, and maybe even photography or graphics, depending on your ad, or illustrations. I know we have one illustration. So you want to have at least one for each of those, maybe more than one if there's a lot of stuff. It's better to only have probably 2 or 3 ideas on each slide so it doesn't get too busy. If you remember, some of the ones we looked at, it gets kind of busy and it's hard to see the ad. So you want to only probably have like 2, 3 at most ideas that you're mentioning. Let's see, what else is it? And you have to have at least one slide that talks about the new ad and how it fits into the campaign. Again, just keep all your text really brief. If you don't want to do like the little little circles or lines pointing at the things on it, like the example and a lot of you used on your new ad, that's fine if you just want to do one slide, but keep it really simple. Don't do like a big paragraph, right? Because you're not going to read it when you present. Let's see here. And then let's see, where is it? One idea per slide. So yeah, like keep things pretty, like this is the concept with design and how it's used, or color and how it's used, or typography, how it's used, hit the new ad and stuff like that. You just also want to make sure you have that introduction that introduces the company and the campaign. So something kind of saying, what is this company? What's the campaign about? And I would keep that a really brief statement, but have something there. And stay cool isn't a bad one. JR used that one. That's not bad. I'd maybe add a little bit more to it. Stay cool in sports or something. Like something that kind of goes that. With slides, just make sure that you're using those principles of design, that you're using nice typography. You do want to have your text not tiny because it is on a PowerPoint slide, but don't have it too big. That's something I noticed. Sometimes people have really big text. You don't want it too big, you don't want it too small. So, you shouldn't be doing body copy size, because body copy on a PowerPoint slide needs to be a lot bigger kind of thing, but you don't want it too small or too big either. So you got to play with that. Make sure your fonts are sans serif, stuff like that, and do some good repetition. Like with the one over here we were looking at, really cool design, some really good stuff, but it didn't feel like it all went together as well. So make sure that you're thinking about that as well. Okay, so I hope that helps. If you guys, please send me a copy of your PDF so I can go through it with you, and I want to give you guys more individual feedback, especially on your ads. Maybe when you send me your PDF, also send me a JPEG in that same email of just the ad by itself, so I can see it a little bit larger and give you some good feedback on your ad, because it's hard sometimes to do it when it's kind of small like it is here on these. Kind of harder to give you as much feedback with that. I would love to see it a little bit larger. So guys, you're doing really great. This is looking good. Please send me your stuff and I can give you some individual feedback. Okay, good luck.